Alright, what's up y'all? I'm going to talk about, still in the car, this is probably like my 5th video driving, Space A. So, you see a lot of stuff about Space A, and like you go to different websites and stuff like that. And so, my ultimate goal back in the day was to record this stuff. So, I feel like I broke a record. Like, I'm probably going to do, I'm doing this stuff backwards. So I'm probably doing an intro and tell a little bit about myself, and I mean, about my weirdly military, government, you know, career, civilian, all this type of stuff. And I had my nursing stuff, I was my teaching stuff, all these different things, right? So, but I'm trying to do this for the veteran community, and just again, I'm gonna say it like I try to start or throw in there at some point halfway through as I'm rambling, is this is my experience of doing it. Doesn't mean it's gonna be yours. All right, so I'm just giving you my experience, right? So Space A is one of the best things that I've ran into. Okay, so the way Space A works now, it's really easy. When I was doing it initially, you had to, I mean, it wasn't hard, you just had to call up and stuff like that. You can go to Facebook, and most terminals, right, if you put in Space A, you got to find a base that they do Space A, and you can Google bases that do Space A, right? And I'll maybe put links down below. And you go to Facebook, and they have the 72-hour time of them leaving. Okay, it's that simple. You show up, depending on what category you are. Like I was like I'm going to talk about the lowest category. I'm pretty sure it's the lowest. It was retired. So for my 5 years on TDRL, I got my retirement. And I got a retirement card and that type of stuff. I was like 32 until like 30. I mean, I'm in my late 30s now, so maybe it's even before that. It was like 2009 to 2013. So I Space A'd everywhere. everywhere. So I Space A'd with my kids. So we were the lowest category. So you're either going to be in my category or you're going to be above it, which means better, right? So what we did is we went to Italy, Spain, Greece, and we went everywhere. And I did all that with my kids. It was amazing, right? It was the best thing that I got to experience. And if you have that retirement card, right, it's a little different on active duty because you have your leave and you have to go over and be back, and it's also tricky for time. So again, I'm gonna tell you my experience. So the first time I Space A'd, we went to the plan was to go to Germany, right? So we went to Fort Dix, yes, Fort Dix, and we're flying out of Fort Dix, right? So what we did, called up, and it was a recording, and I think they probably still have the recording. You call up and they say 72-hour flights. These are the next flights leaving. These are how many packs that are available. So that means how many seats they have open. And I'm pretty sure that's the terminology. On the website it says T, I think, like that now, and like 52 seats. I mean, for how many seats are open. So the bad part of that is it could be showing 52 seats and there could be 0. Right? When the time it flies, there's 0 seats because they put more cargo on, they load it more. So you could be taking a C4, a C-130. It just depends on what they're flying, right? So I'm talking about overseas travel. You can do Space A and I'll definitely put a link on this one. There's different categories, and like if you're a reservist and stuff, you can, or National Guard, you can fly stateside by yourself anywhere that Space A goes. Right, so you have to find a base as close to you does Space A. Some of them have everything on Facebook, some you got to call up. But we went, I'm going to use my store for Dover. So I show up with my 3 kids, we're all backpacked up, about to travel, see the world, right? It's about to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, which it ended up being, so don't get me wrong. But we show up, there's 52 seats, and by the time the flight leaves, there's 10 seats. So you go, you register, and you have to actually register before, but I didn't. So you can actually register the day you show up, but you kind of like are in a place, like if it's a bunch of people in your same category, whoever registers first, if I'm not mistaken, gets, like, it goes in that order of seats. Technically though, if you got 2 people in your party and they have 1 seat, they're gonna give it to somebody who has 1 seat. That's common sense, unless you want to fly separately, which I'll get into. So we were going to Germany, 10 seats. There was me, my 2 sons, and my daughter were flying the first time we went over. The seats got down to 2. They're like, hey, do you want to send 2 of your kids over? And I was like, yeah, obviously not. We'll wait for the next one. The next one came around. Germany, 52 seats. Time the flight was. Now you can stay. A lot of these airports that are on base, the base terminals, you can sleep on the floor. Like they have kids areas, so you might be waiting 24 hours. Like even though you're planning on flying one day, you might not fly till next day, and that would happen with us. So we're waiting. The next next flight was like 2 hours. I'm like, it's not a big deal. We waited. It went from 52 seats to 10. I'm like, dang, because of the wait, if I'm recalling correct. Then all of a sudden, a bunch of active duty. So it was like, again, there's emergency leave people. Then there is active duty people. It's like Cat 2, Cat 3 is something. Cat 4 is like, I don't know. There's different categories, and we're like the last category. I think it's us and like West Point ROTC people that want to travel, cadets. So I'm talking to them like, oh, all these other flights that are going to like Spain, and like they have open seats and stuff like that. So I'm like, if we don't get on this next German, we're just going to go to Spain, because then they like you could buy a book. I had like a book like Spain, then you get to Germany, or Spain, then you get to Italy. So it was this a couple years ago too. So if you're flying as a retired or active duty and you want to travel with your family, I would suggest looking at one of those ports. Now you're going to fly into there and then wait for another flight, but like we ended up going to Spain instead, because I didn't want to wait. The next flight was going to be a day later, so we spent the night. The Spain flight was in the morning, real early. So the kids, like there was a bunch of other kids there. They hung out with them in this little play area. We all spread out with, they had like blankets we could get, and we used our, we just laid out on base in the terminal waiting for the flight. And we were there for one day, like we showed up in the morning, and then we didn't fly out until the next night. So about a full day. There was a cafeteria there. We get food at certain times. We could walk. I mean, we were on base, so where we were, I'm pretty sure at Dover. I might be mixing Dover and McGuire up sometimes as I talk, but like the PX was closed. So the one time we were waiting, we just walked over and ate at the PX. The key thing is it's free. We didn't pay to sleep. We could have got a hotel on base to stay, but we just decided to crash because the kids met a bunch of other kids, so they were hanging out and stuff like that, and we just slept in the terminal. Flight takes us to Spain. So I had my kids for 2 weeks. So custody-wise, they had to be back in 2 weeks. So the only downside is you don't know when you're leaving, you don't know when you're coming back. You can plan it, but anything can happen. So we space A to Spain. The next flight to Germany is not until like 2 days from there, because depending on what port you're at, it only goes to certain places. But it went to Italy. Spain went to Italy, like, I'm pretty sure back then it was like every 6 hours there was a flight back and forth. So we ended up going to Italy. We were planning on going to Germany. We ended up going to Italy and had an amazing time. We stayed at a Navy base there, got the room for like 70 bucks a night. Now, I didn't schedule ahead of time, which I should have. I mean, there's no way for me to know, because we were planning on going to Germany, so I had to cancel my reservations on base at, I think it was Kaiserslautern or somewhere I got placed. So the Navy base had a room for like 3 or 4 nights. So for like 40-some bucks. And then in Italy, there's a place that there, and it's a general's name, that's an actual volcano that has cabins. So it's like staying in a giant volcano with it's like an MWR site. You pull up, it's pretty cool. Like Italian army's there. We have our army there, and lower. And it's not. It was just cool for the kids to see that. They're like, oh man, like, are we in a place that's dangerous? So we got to see Italy. So then we end up flying back the same way, coming to Spain, and from Spain we went to, I think, Ireland, and then Ireland we came in to Dover, or Fort McGuire the first time. So then we got in our vehicle and we left, right? It was a great time. Got to spend a week and a half in Italy, a week in Italy, because we spent a couple days in Spain too. And we went a couple different places in Italy. We went down to the beach and stayed at another Navy base down there. It was great. Like, it was all kind of on a whim, right? My biggest concern was getting over there in time and getting back in time, because at the time, the custody. And their mom was like somewhat flexible. But, I mean, it was kind of a fresh divorce, so anybody knows how that goes. So, I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing. Kids had a great time. It was free. Like, I paid maybe to go with my 3 young children. Like, they were, I think my daughter was 5 at the time. Then my son would have been 7 and 8, or 7 and 9. I got to go in 2009 to take them overseas with me. for free. All the travel was free, right? They got the Buckwind, they got this going. I think they got to go on a C-130 the one time. Went from one Italy base to the next base. They got to strap in, they got to do all type of stuff. It was cool. It was a great experience, and it was free. And all I had to pay for was the lodging. And if I needed to stay off base, the lodging wasn't that expensive. It's kind of different because they do it by people, so you got to watch that. Like, it's like one person costs this much, and then 2 people, and it's like you don't rent the room. You rent like how many people are going to occupy the room, but they charge you like it's a room. So that was confusing for me, and maybe I just didn't understand it. Maybe that's not what they do. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. But where we were at, it was like going to be for 2 people in the room. It was charging like we were buying 2 rooms, and but luckily we ended up getting on base. So I'm getting all fat because I'm pity party. You know, taking my meds, getting all this type of stuff, and up and working a little bit, and at the time. Actually, I was working at for the Army as a civilian then, and next summer comes around because my kids go with their mom, and then it's like I see them every other weekend. Just straight ruining relationships at the time. I'm going off topic here. So then next summer comes along, right? We travel, same type of thing. Next summer comes around, I find out I have a son. My Jerry Springer moment from a girl in high school. It was at the end of high school. I went in the military, and then, you know, I'll post about that later probably. So he comes with us overseas, get his passport, and at the time when I first started, the kids didn't need a passport. The second time we went, they needed a passport, and now they did, because they were going to stamp every time. Man, we went to every single base, and because we flew on a plane, they didn't stamp us once at all. Now the last time we went, when Tyler came with us, so I'm taking like he was 14, and then it was like 14, 13, 11, and 9-year-old. They're kind of used to it, so we go. This time we end up trying to get over to Germany again, right? And we did the same route. We actually like took a flight. We actually left. We were at Fort McGuire, right? We checked in. You go through the whole process, and then they have a flight announcement for Dover leaving. So we drove. It was about I don't even want to say it was a couple hours, but it wasn't extremely long. We drove down, and we got, because they had like 100 seats, and like they said they would definitely, like they weren't. It was some type of flight. They weren't carrying cargo. I don't know if it was maybe a mission flight for the pilots or whatever it was. So we go down to get that. We get down there, and that flight, we misunderstood it wasn't until the next day, and there was a flight that was going to Italy, but it had to stop in Virginia. So we get on there, like there's no guarantee we're gonna go, and I was like, well, whatever, you know what I mean? My car's there. If worst case scenario, I can't travel from Virginia over. I'll just come back up to Dover, where my car is. I'll get a rental car. So we fly down. They kick us off because they had ammunition. They were loading. We were good to go, but then they were loading ammunition. So you can't be on a plane at the time, though, from how it was when there's ammunition on board if you're not military. So because we were I was considered retired then, I was considered I don't even think if you're military you can do it, but I think that's what they told me. Like, because of us being civilians and having kids, it made sense. So a little caveat: if you get a speeding ticket over 80 miles per hour in Virginia, it's like reckless homicide. So on the Bay Bridge, remember, if you stop and look at the nice little bridge, and it's beautiful, and then you pull out, the speed limit's like 55, and if you get clocked like 80 or in a little bit more than that, and your kid goes, "You're even going faster than that, Dad," that doesn't look too good for you. Luckily, it got, you know, nothing came about it, but just be careful. And thank you for that officer for looking out. You know what I mean? And, I mean, it was cool. And but those rental cars, boy, they better pay attention when you're driving. So we go back up. We get on that flight the next day. We end up in Spain. We do Spain to Italy. So we end up in. We flew into some small base in Italy, and then as we're landing in Greece, right? Because there's that Navy base. We stay up on top of the. We're flying in from Italy, and the plane. It's not the black box. There's some other box that it can't fly without. because I'm thinking it's like the black box, like, but there's something else. The plane had to land in some like foreign country, right? Now here is why I'm telling you the story. When you're Space A, if there's no flight or if something happens, it's your responsibility to get yourself wherever you need to go. That's the downside of Space A, is all you are is cargo. They're not there to give you food. They're not there to look after you. You're there, and you're taking the risk, and you sign it saying something happens to the plane and it has to go down. Doesn't matter where it's at. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself, right? Now imagine if something weird happened. Of course, they're not just going to leave you out there stranded. But we ended up in this. To this day, my son remembers. I forget where we were. We were in some like small country, and we're with like 6 or 7 people. We're sitting there like, we're sorry, and we were just dropping stuff off there. And so we knew we were going to make that stop, and they're like, hey, you know, we're not going to be able to make it to Greece and stuff like that. Like, you guys, you're on your own. And that's 100% true story how it went. So you have all these people like panicking, they have kids and stuff like that. So I'm like, whatever. Like, there's this, there's a big joint force task there, and I go up and talk to a couple of dudes. I'm like, hey, do you have any helicopters that could possibly take? I was trying to look out for everybody, but there was, you know, those dudes that are like, oh, we should do this, and like just frantic in this situation. So I kind of separated myself from the group, and you know, I talked to one of there were some soft dudes there, and they're like, yeah, man, like we're doing these joint operation stuff. We can't, you know, there's nothing we can do for you. You know what I mean? Like, they try to put in a couple calls to people, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing, like to get us where we need to go, there's nothing they can do. And why would they? I mean, it makes perfect sense. So I start talking to like the local people, and I'm telling you this not because like, oh, I did this. It's the fact of, if you're in that situation, you got to open your mouth. You got to talk. You can't be and we weren't in any danger. We were just in a foreign country, and that's what I'm trying. I wish I knew. It wasn't that far from Greece. It was a small, you know, and we landed on that base of that country, and they're like, you're on your own. So I found out about a ferry. There was a ferry that goes overnight right now, and a ferry in 20 or 18 hour, I may be exaggerating. There was an overnight ferry in the States. I'm like, overnight ferry, like I'm thinking like New York ferry, like those things are not something comfortable. So I'm like, whatever I need to do to get my 4 kids out of this situation, I'm doing. So I get in, I order a taxi, and then the dudes from that military was like, hey, we'll give you a ride downtown if you want. What are you doing? I was like, I'm taking a ferry. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, and then you have it's just like people running around like, oh, I don't know if you should. You don't have to do anything. And eventually everyone ended up come with me, right? Because you get ferry tickets, right? I got 4 ferry tickets for $75, right? And it is a cruise ship, right? It is a cruise ship that had dancing. It was the greatest experience of my kids' life. We go on this cruise ship, right? And it's what they call a ferry that takes, and that could be, I mean, I'm 100% American, and maybe we're wrong, because if we should have ferries like that. I've been on a cruise ship too, and that was like a cruise ship. You get your own rooms, you could get, or you could just buy a ticket on the ferry that went overnight to Greece, and you could just lounge out, find seating in like the bar area, and that's what we did. We ate really good food and stuff like that for like next to nothing, and they took us the whole way where we needed to go, and then we stayed on the base, and that was beautiful in Greece, the Navy base. And then we flew out of there and took a train across Italy. Then we went to Germany, took a Germany down. I mean, took a bus. We hopped on a bus that took us down. Like, we went all over the place. Like, we were in Germany, then we took a bus through Austria and all this type of stuff. Like, it was a real cool like experience that we had. But if you're on your own, if something happens, that's why I'm telling this story. You're on your own, and you have to be able to think on your feet, especially if you have kids with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people did. A lot of people were taking advantage of that. And don't let that slip you by. If you're National Guard, you can go stateside, and if you're National Guard and you served your 20, I'm not sure how or when you get your retirement card, but once you get that retirement card, I mean, you qualify to travel. If you're active duty, you have to have your orders, or you have to have your pass signed and dated, and then like the one form kind of doesn't need to be signed, but I mean, you should have it signed. But your pass should, you know, releasing you if you're taking leave or something like that for so many days. And what that helps is when you're coming back, they'll kind of bump you ahead that, you know, that you got to be back in time, like, which is good. But this is kind of go for anybody, retirement, anybody who can Space A. it's a great experience. Like, even if you can, I mean, stateside, if you space A to Hawaii, I mean, space A out to California, Fort Irwin, and you can then hop to Hawaii. Now, again, it's the same thing. You're going to be waiting. You're not guaranteed a seat, depending on what category you are. It might be, and the time you go. Don't ever go over to Germany. That was what we were, like, they were telling me, like, during Thanksgiving or Christmas. Like, if you're going over during Christmas, is fine, like, right before. But coming back, like, if it's reversed, like, you want to go over, like, if that makes sense, like, if you're reversing it, you have to understand it's going to be hard for you to do that because all the soldiers are coming back. Like, so you want to do it like opposite times. You want to be going when they're coming and then coming back when they're going, because if not, you're going to be stuck there. And we were stuck in Germany. When we went to Germany, we tried to fly out. That's why we ended up taking the bus. We went down into town and stuff, and they got to see where the big soccer guys are and ate and stuff like that. You're just going to get stuck over there. It's very, Germany for space A, if you're a low category, is very hard. There's tons of flights if you're trying to get back stateside. If you're trying, like, again, use what I'm telling you, go to Spain and then Spain to Americans. It's vice versa. Or go to the UK and then the UK to Ireland, like we did the one time. Like, there's a bunch of different routes, but if you're trying to go the easiest route from Germany to US, I mean, it's pretty hard depending on the time of season you go. If you're willing to take an extra day to travel, or 2 days, and stay in Spain and then hop over, or Spain to Ireland, there's a bunch of different routes. But space A is the way to do it. Like, I'm 100%, if you have that opportunity and you like that type of stuff, it's a way to see, you know, it's a way to see the world and take your family with you, you know, without paying that high cost, especially if you have time. Because the worst, it's going to be it. It's just you're waiting, going, and waiting, coming back. But besides that, you're free to, I mean, you can Ryanair. There's tons of stuff you can do once you get overseas that is way cheaper once you get over there to do than taking a civilian flight. So hopefully that helps anybody. If you have any questions or any places, I have the list of all the places I was at. You know, it's good to go, man. Like, it's a good opportunity. Take advantage of it. Don't let it pass. All right, y'all.